Now, if your kids are anything like mine, you may have thought about building a climbing wall so they can stop doing this and start doing this. So hit that subscribe button and let's learn how. So if you're just starting out on building your own home climbing wall, you may be wondering, what is it that attaches those holds to the wall? I remember the very first climbing wall that I built. That's what I was thinking. Well, let me answer that question for you. Here in the States, it's a 3/8 inch with a 16 thread T-nut. It goes in the back of a 3/4 inch plywood, just like this. And are all T-nuts made the same? If you're out there and you've already shopped for T-nuts, you may have noticed that they're not all the same. You can search for a 3/8 16 T-nut and come up with all different kinds of varieties. Now, for my home climbing walls, I've always used almost the cheapest T-nuts that I can find, and they've always worked out well for me. I have had some blowouts in the past. I haven't had any on this little tiny wall that I built for my kids back here yet, but eventually I plan on that, and I'm going to talk to you about how to repair that as well. But first, let me describe the different types of T-nuts. 4 different prongs that stick out on the base of the T-nut, and that gets hammered into the plywood. Now, your other types, you have a 3-prong. Don't worry about those guys. It's not enough holding power. Out of all the climbing walls that I've built, the three prongs always blow out. The 4 prongs you can get away with for a little while. It has little holes on the flange, kind of like this one. It's usually 3 screws, and you put in screws. Those hold really well. Now, the guys over at Escape Climbing just designed this T-nut. I'm pretty sure that they designed it themselves. That's what I heard. But this is the very first T-nut that has ever been designed specifically for climbing walls, and it is amazing. It actually is the full depth for a 3/8 inch plywood. The other T-nuts, they're designed for 1/2 inch plywood. We stole those from the furniture making industry. And they work well, they do. But if you're looking for something that's gonna really be bomber proof, you need to head over to Escape and check these T-nuts out. They're absolutely amazing. I'm gonna use these in some of my volumes, and I'm also planning on using a lot of these in the climbing gym that we're building here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Now, let's say that you do go with the cheapest ones you can find out there, and for your home wall, they work pretty good. But a couple years go down the road, and now you start having problems. You have some extra T-nuts still left over, but these are popping out, and once these pop out, it's really hard to get them secured back in there. So let me show you what you do to fix those. And this is your answer. You're gonna take a piece of plywood, 1/2 inch, because remember, we stole these from the furniture making industry. They are actually designed for 1/2 inch plywood. So just use 1/2 inch plywood unless you've got a hole in your wall. If you've got a hole in your wall, you need to back that up with at least 3/4 inch plywood. And hopefully better than the stuff that you had on there previously, because it allowed a hole. So take that plywood, cut it into 2-inch squares, drill a hole in the center, and pound your T-nut in there. And then this piece will then get screwed to the back of the wall in place of that. Now, if you are having problems, you're probably going to want to beef it up, because this is only going to push the problem down the road for about the same amount of time that you had the last blowout on. So go over to Escape, guys, and check out these T-nuts. They are not paying me at all for saying this. In fact, they won't even have a clue that I sent you over there unless you tell them, hey, this guy on YouTube, Climber Dad, told me about your T-nuts and I wanted to check them out. So go over there and check these out. They're amazing.